We are going off to India, where crypto exchanges are in survival mode. So this story talks about the likes of CoinDesk, CoinSwitch, and WazirX, and more that are trying to extend their runways and survive the bear market. They're cutting costs where possible, renegotiating contracts, conducting layoffs in an attempt to make it to the next bull market. All of this while the Reserve Bank of India is trying to attract attention towards how crypto can hurt or completely change the global economy as part of the G20 discussions. Zach, I'm going to toss this one off to you. You know, you asked a question earlier about the Gemini story. Like, is this a Gemini story, or is this just indicative of the markets at large? Like, what do you think of what's going on in India? Is it an India story, or is it indicative of what's happening everywhere else?
Yeah, Jen, you read my mind. I mean, I really do think it's a sector-wide issue, right? And you're seeing some of these numbers, these drawdowns, these cuts, anything to get through to the next good time. But I will say India remains the most entertaining crypto roller coaster out there, even better than, you know, a price chart of some wild S coin, right? India is always vacillating between here's a hyper bullish development and here's a hyper bearish development. And we always see it in the regulatory context in India. A few years ago, there was, you know, the threat of basically an outright ban, something similar to what China pursued. And then all of a sudden, the Royal Bank of India stepped in and said, hey, no, we're going to regulate this thing. And everyone was like, oh, yay, like India crypto it's here. It's going to be amazing. And then subsequently, we've seen some of that excitement become deflated out of that balloon, right? As both market realities and perhaps a more strict stance on crypto than was initially anticipated have come to light. So this sort of continues, I think, that long-standing theme of it's really hard to assess where the Indian crypto market is as it relates to the global picture for cryptocurrency. And I think this just kind of adds, especially like specifically on the regulatory side, just adds sort of further murkiness to what people the world over are viewing of that market. So I'll throw it to Will, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with Zach on this. I think India is just a different case example because they've had the history going back and forth on things. And then also the tax licensing that they published last year was pretty devastating to that market, right? It was like a 30% on just all crypto taxes, and then 1% on like transaction fees. So that's pretty difficult, right? Why would you trade in that environment or even build in that environment? But on top of it, it's a tough bear market. So like Nansen this morning published a note from their CEO that they just laid off about 30% of their staff. Nansen was one of the big success stories the last 3 years, and even they are having to do layoffs, right? So not picking on them at all, but you know, the fact that a very strong data team that a lot of people in the industry know about had to pursue layoffs as a strategy to survive into the next market tells you where most people are at. And CoinDesk has done a good job of like sort of laying out who has been caught in this. There's about 30,000 plus people laid off in the crypto industry, according to like those recent numbers. So that's just sizable amount of people in crypto. In 2018, 2019, during the last bear market, you could probably get most of people in crypto in a large auditorium. And then it grew so fast during 2021, 2022 that you could not do that anymore. And now we're getting back to that. Maybe it could be like a little bigger. Maybe it could feel like Miami Beach Convention Center at this point, but it's definitely going back down in size. I'll throw it over to you, Wendy.
One of the things I want to say is a shout out to all of my Indian audience. You guys are amazing. I've got quite a few of you that watch my channel, so thank you so much. Also, too, I don't think that this story is a big story, primarily because like we all know that crypto bear markets are real. They happen. We all know that Bitcoin drops between a certain percentage, and I'm just not understanding why companies aren't planning a little bit better for that and mitigating that type of risk. Like I feel like some of these crypto asset companies should be hiring like technical analysis to kind of look at the charts, be like, hey, maybe we should consider, you know, cashing out here, doing this, moving these reserves there for those types of reasons. It feels like a lot of companies don't do that. And then the bear market just happens like out of the blue. And then they're completely confused and they start firing people. But at the same time, it's like, you know, that we're going to get a bear market. It's like historic, especially for traditional assets too. So I don't know. I wish that they would do a better job with that. But as far as the back and forth regulation that goes over in India, I think it's ridiculous. I think all these public servants on a global scale just need to get it together and figure it out. Jen? Or Zach, I don't know.
I have something to add super quick. I just want to add that I think the atmosphere in India has kind of accelerated what's going on there. So when these taxes were introduced, there were a lot of people in the industry that were speculating, like maybe this is going to push exchanges to close, or this is going to push users to look year. And a lot of Indian users have actually moved from local exchanges to international exchanges. That, coupled with Indian exchanges having a hard time to find banking services and also having a hard time with the universal payment system, so their on and off ramps, I think have contributed to this as well, which are factors outside of the bear market that I think are worth bringing up. But Zach, I'll toss out to you.
Yeah, it's always worth remembering that, exchanges are on the front lines of, declines in crypto trading volume, right? And they, surge in good times and shrink. They're usually the first to shrink in bad times. So we keep seeing that play out time and time again.